Swami Vishnu-devananda, 1987, Karma, Reincarnation and Disease Seminar, Yoga Camp, Canada.
Meditation, he was just pronouncing loudly mantra or syllable in the expiratory phase, loudly, and after some 3 weeks he observed following. He observed that when he stopped recitation of mantra, his breathing his breathing rate slowly got reduced, and there was prolongation of the post-expiratory pastimes or apnea. In this apneic condition, he was experiencing it very pleasantly. He felt that abdomen exhibit such a small pumpings, approximately 1 per second. These pumpings were very small, and he saw that these are only pressure reflections from the heartbeat. But then he came to an idea that let the pumpings breathe instead of voluntary breathing. So each small pumping of the abdomen sucked a small amount of air, and he was able to maintain the apnea for a rather long time, up to 2 minutes, and he felt very pleasantly in this state. But afterwards, at the end of this apnea, these pumpings became more and more vigorous, and the rate of these pumpings increased until it approached 3 per second. In some experiments, 4 per second. It was very vigorous, and it takes some 60 seconds. After this, a very powerful inspiratory breath hold was occurred, and this was maintained for some 10 seconds and then released. We have made some 14 or 15 experiments on this subject, and I would like to show you some physiological data that we gathered by this very strange phenomenon.
That's very important for me, because once I was in Poland, in that place where the two girls who have the psychic experience. Poland, where is it from Sivananda? Yeah. I went and I want to experiment with these two girls, and my breath automatically afterwards, like the violent pumping went on, I was just concentrating on them with the specific rhythm, and pumping went on without my control. It went on. Some psychic phenomena take place because they are all controlled by the spirit world. That's what the whole phenomena of that place is. They might not know maybe or it is just spirits are, but they don't understand that. So I just knew that because I had this experience long time ago with the spirit world. So my body went violently with the same pumping. So some psychic phenomena can create this pumping. So he may be gone into a kind of spiritual, God knows. That's what I'm just telling. A hypothesis from my part. Maybe you can investigate when you have time.
Any hypothesis is valuable because we still don't know what's happening.
Oh my God, you can't believe that. It is for several minutes my body was pumping violently. I couldn't control because I can control my breathing that I want. That time I could not control that.
So may I describe what we observed? So here on this, can it be focused a little bit more, maybe? Yes, very good. Okay. So here are, please don't see, these are artifactual electrooculograms because he was moving violently and it's not worth mentioning. Here is platysmogram of the third finger, this line, and this line from left and right hand. And here, these two signals, these two traces are the most important. This is thoracal, respiratory chest breathing movements, and these are abdominal breathing movements. So let us see the apneic period in which he reported the pumpings occurring. It is here. These are the small pumpings which are not seen in thoracal respiration. That means they are of abdominal origin. We investigated it further and became that it is real diaphragmatical origin of these pumpings. And here we see the increasing of the amplitude and the rate of these pumpings until it is 3 per second, 3 Hertz, like delta activity, or sometimes it was 4. And it was still continuing for some 60 seconds, this is 10 seconds, until some 60 seconds. the respiratory movements are only passive, these are only following the strong abdominal movements. And afterwards, there is a sudden inspiratory movement of the chest. It stops all the rhythmical activity of the diaphragm, and there is a long breath hold, approximately 30 seconds. It goes down to the expiratory level, and then a long apnea occurs. And this repeats. So again, this was like another cycle was there and there and there, and then repeats until the subject himself stops. He is able to stop this in any moment, also here. When he wants, he just makes a very deep inspiration.
Voluntarily he's able to stop.
Yes.
He's able to stop.
He's able to stop just making a strong inspiration. And by this he stops. In any moment, he is conscious, he is very well oriented in the place-time. Yes?
Are those tracing DC coupled or AC?
Where these are, these records are from plethysmographic recording of the breathing movements.
Is DC coupled on the chart paper? Current?
Which is the moment? Yeah.
Yes, it is
Capacity.
stone and the signal is DC.
Okay, so and this is the cycle that repeated itself until he himself felt a little bit tired and he stopped.
In my case, one of these, but several incidents I can quote. But in this particular incident in Poland, with the psychic girls I was investigating, and at the end of the pumping, I screamed against my will. I could not stop. So the it went on for a long time without my control. So there is psychic world. They can attack with the spirit world that is very close to our atmosphere, but we can't see them. They can really catch the person, and their energy coming from their body, you can change your breathing pattern and your facial pattern. My face was very violent. Then later on I found out that's a place where the girls had this vision in the field. They were slaughtered, hundreds of people have been slaughtered in one of the Turkish attacks, you know. The whole hill was filled with this ghost or spirit, whatever you want to call it. And these two girls saw what was not actually in Mary or the spirit world, and that's what exactly I experienced there. You know, it's my personal experience I'm talking. And this this is very important in the future investigation. We can have, some of the people have the psychic attack by spirits. We can investigate that, and then we can find out this phenomenon we can create. You know, I'm just giving this idea ahead. So in the future, psychic phenomena that is different when the spirit world comes and attacks you, or you are puzzled by the spirits. Many types of breathing can take place, your brain will change, etc. More than 2 years experience this type of things in our girl, you see. So I'm just giving this warning ahead. So it may not be a normal person breathing alone. There may be another outside agent creating the situation. That's what I'm talking. Maybe in this person's case also, maybe, I'm not talking true. But possibility that spirit, maybe he only had 15 minutes or 3 days of meditation. Suddenly he started having this type of experience shows that kind of spirit, some kind of spirit must be there, you know. I'm just warning you again.
So let us now inspect more closely these abdominal movements. Here we have again, there is another chart speed. Yes, we see it now flying above. And we see this heart rate was increased up to 90 to 120 in this fast breathing period, and it returned to the basic level, or was a little bit bradycardiac during the apneic part. It was about 50 to 70 per minute. Please another. What was strange and what was very interesting, what we found during this fast breathing period, was synchronization between the heartbeats as signified by R waves of the electrocardiogram and breathing movements. This will occur many times. There were also other ratios, 2 to 1, 2 breathings to 1 cardiac cycle.
This only one subject you are talking about? Or
only one subject. It's only one subject.
But other subject never got this. Only one subject.
No, only one.
That means it must be the unique phenomenon of spirit world possible.
Please, the next slide. And this is again the synchronization. If you look, this is EMG, but there is a noise artifact of ECG on this. Yes. So we see how the respiratory cycles, abdominal, are synchronized, and then this is still maintained, but the phase is a little bit shifted. And let us stay a little bit by this synchronizing and relative coordination phenomena. These are commonly seen in newborn children, in premature newborns, in which there is a high heart rate and respiratory rate, and they, in certain circumstances, they exhibit the synchronizing of heart rate or cardiac cycles and respiratory cycles. Also, it was found in animals. There are experiments of Bucher found that there are certain reflex levels that enabling this primitive coupling between respiration and cardiac rhythm.
What is the cardiac rhythm happens?
So this is heart rhythm, and the coupling between them is realized by several order of reflex mechanism, but all are very deep. They are some of them are almost on the molecular level.
On what level?
Molecular level. This was found on animals of very primitive cells and organisms.
On any other person except one person.
Yes.
One person.
This synchronizing of heart rate and breathing was found in fish, for example, by elimination of oxygen in the water leads in certain fish, in embryo of fish, to synchronizing movements of respiration and heart. Please, the next slide. Let us stay by respiration a little bit. So again, we see these high frequency movements, abdominal and thoracal, and we see how they are modulated by another rhythm, which has per period, mean period 5 seconds. It varies between 4 and 6, but the mean period is 5 seconds. This is again the rhythm that I was talking yesterday, that is found in cardiovascular signals, and it is also found in our experiment being done here in Ashram in Kapalabhati, that it seems that it is a very profound rhythmical mechanism that is maintained throughout in the respiration.
But this person never did any breathing exercise.
No,
pranayama.
No, just asana.
Asana.
No pranayama.
And have you really visually did you check his diaphragm in right hand is right motion?
Yes, yes.
Or just the intercostal muscle is using, you checked that very clearly?
We were recording intercostal EMG during the high frequency part, but there was only artifact and certain tonic discharges. And
also the high breathing, the shoulder breathing is not doing.
No, just abdominal.
Now how did you get the naturally? Because unless there must some training must be there. Because generally people doesn't breathe the deep breathing, the diaphragmatic breathing. Mostly they breathe thoracic breathing or the shoulder breathing or collarbone breathing. Okay? So I do not know about how much you practice pranayama before or how much thought. I don't know. I'm just talking this maybe so much.
Here's the next slide. Now this picture shows us how many rhythms can respiratory apparatus or system exhibit at a very short period of some 2 minutes. So first there is a very slow, like eupnoic, that means spontaneous breathing, which is now modulated by the fast rhythm, abdominal. Then it changes suddenly to a quite different modus. It is also a slow breathing, approximately 6 to 7 period of this 6 to 7 seconds, but again modulated by these fast rhythms, and then afterwards it passes to the very fast breathings of the 3 per second and terminated by apnea. This changed status or mode, how he entered this high frequency part, was observed in later experiments. So in the first there was still the regime of this apnea and then high frequency part, but afterwards it was more free, it was not so fixed.
Can you tell me what type of instrument did you use to check the diaphragmatic breathing? That's what I want.
These were plethysmographic couplers. This is such
like in a polygraph we got can check up the motion of the breathing.
Yes, this
same
is
type of
for
polygraph.
movements. It is a recording of real movements
Of the same like in polygraph.
of the abdominal wall. So we don't have the access to diaphragm, but we judge on it because we were recording the EMG of of the abdominal wall of several.
What about the
sites.
intercostal muscle? You never checked there. You are not
Yes, we have, but they could not follow such a heart rate of 3, sometimes 4 per second. They are exclusively of abdominal origin, and we suspect that it's diaphragmal origin. So please, the next slide. As we said, that the heart rate increased during the high frequency part of this breathing phenomenon, but as well the systolic blood pressure increased significantly up to 180 millimeters Hg. Diastolic blood pressure did not change, and afterwards the peak was observed in 1/3 of the high frequency part, and then it declined practically on the resting level during the apneic part of the breathing pattern, and then again increased during high frequency part, and it was such changing from very high systolic blood pressure to normal levels.
So now when you tested the Kapalabhati here in the ashram, what did you find? There is relationship between this and the Kapalabhati?
There is some similarity, but Kapalabhati is performed in a different way, because there are these movements were real inspiratory movements of the diaphragm. When the diaphragm went down, there was inspiration, that was...
Kapalabhati is a diaphragmatic, just like you mentioned, this is a diaphragmatic movement.
But in Kapalabhati we make active expiration, and the inspiration is passage just to the area.
But in this
so just reverse.
Reverse.
Yes.
That means that then he's not doing abdominal breathing then. Reverse means like he's using the shoulder breathing.
Well,
that's what there's some commonly talking more about that. Data, you may not have got the right motion, the data then.
We have the first or second slide of this breathing. We showed that there was no changes in thoracal respirograms in the starting phase of this breathing pattern. And when we look closely to the high frequency part, when the chart speed was high, we saw that they are out of phase, that they are not synchronized, so that the thoracal movements are only passive. When we make such inspiration, then the chest is a little bit lower. That's when it is active and opposite. So we think that it's real abdominal origin.
But in polygraph, mostly they use the chest to check the belt in the chest, in the thoracic region, then the abdominal region. So it is mechanical or electrical, this is device what you are talking about?
This is electrocapacitance.
Not mechanical.
Not mechanical. No, it's not.
That's all about it. Because the polygraph, the thing what we have is mechanical, just for this. Except GSR, other things are all mechanical.
Please, the next slide. Well, now we have so far talked about the high frequency part, but what's happening during the apneic period? And it seems that the apneic periods are still more important or interesting. So we see that the thoracal and respiratory movements are quite silent. There is a line, straight line, no changes. And we see here the ECG, are waves of the ECG. And now here we see the horizontal electrooculogram. And we see a large swings of the potential was associated by the eye movements from left to right and right to left, like a pendulum. And these movements, again, were synchronized with a heart rhythm.
Eye movement?
Were synchronized with heart rhythm.
But during this, can you explain what the eye movement means? Because eyes are closed or eyes are wide open?
Eyes were kept closed throughout the session.
Then how do you find out that the eyes are synchronized?
Yes, because we recorded the horizontal eye movements by the horizontal eye movements like this, on this direction, on this plane.
But what instrument did you use?
Yes, this is so-called electrooculogram.
That one touch the eye just only from the front, it is?
This is on the canthus. Here one is placed, and the other is placed here. These two electrodes, like here. One here and one here, and the potential difference between them gives us information. So any movement which is between them is recorded.
It's not REM type movement?
No.
Rapid eye movement within the brain?
No. We have consulted a specialist in this field, and they told us that these are pendular movements which are not very common. Please, the next slide. So this was synchronization between... Yes, another one phenomenon. During this, not in all apneic parts of this oscillatory breathing pattern, we saw a strong compression movements of the abdominal wall, which repeated regularly with period of 4 seconds. And
Like
again,
like in Kapalabhati.
but the period was 4 seconds, and they were very,
Like
very
that. See? Slow, like that.
no, because there was apnoea. These movements did not contribute to respiration. They did not breathe.
So there's no
This was
conscious motion.
No, this was just like compression, without any air inflowing to the respiratory systems,
Oh, that means that
like Agnisara or something like.
there's no respiration or inspiration, then abdominal
Yes.
pressure went up.
Yes, only compression movements of the abdominal wall.
So that means just like Agnisara Kriya. That means see, the Agnisara we exhale and from the abdomen. It's a okay, you know that. See the difference with Kapalabhati and Agnisara, take the shut off. Just go then slide. See the difference with Kapalabhati, take to control Kapalabhati. See, then you rhythmically you move with the exhalation, inhalation, your diaphragm. Okay, now Agnisara, you exhale deep, put your hands on the snap, and pump in 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now here, the pumping is done on exhalation and or external retention, outside retention. Okay, stop. Like in Naudi. But you call Agnisara, the pumping, like a Kapalabhati, but only there's no air. Air is expelled from the lungs and as much as possible empty. So you are talking the same state as for Agnisara.
Yes, but it was slower, like Srinivasan showed now. It was only repeating by 4-second period, every 4 seconds. And it is seen on the electromyogram of the abdominal wall muscles of the musculus rectus obliqui, and other four abdominal muscles were recorded. And all of these experiments, EEG when was recorded, EEG was recorded in fact in 6 of them. There was no changes in EEG which would require some attention. Only low amplitude alpha pertained, like here, it's now artifactual, but here it's seen. Low amplitude alpha activity pertained in the whole, throughout the whole session. So no epileptic or other signs.
But now, you didn't compare these, the Agnisara PMC, you ever investigate the Agnisara in the lab?
So far not.
Not, okay. So you must...
One thing, Swami, is that when we're looking a little bit at intention, that there's some of this muscle movement. We were testing last year for the muscle movement, doing the anuloma viloma and doing the longer retentions. There's some of the slow movements of the.
but in our session, Agnisara Kriya. You better check that out, very important, okay? Agnisara, then you can see the relationship with Agnisara and the Kapalabhati, you can find the relationship, okay?
We've done a lot of research on Naudi.
Nowadays, but nowadays different from Agnisara. Even though it appears to be the same, but it's not same because different muscle and a different mental condition is necessary for Agnisara than Naudi. Naudi is more a vacuum is created, so a muscular movement is there. But Agnisara is quite different. Purpose also quite different in yoga theory. You see, Agnisara is the very name of Agnisara means increase the fire, the digestive power, fire. As our theory says, digestion is caused by digestive power, fire. Inner digestive fire. This increase when it's from Agnisara. But nowadays it doesn't create the Agnisara. Anyhow, we can test these differences. Okay. Nowadays Agnisara and Kapalabhati, you can verify it. Okay. Please make this note very carefully. Thank you.
So let me conclude what was found during this apneic period. This was the abdominal compression movements. We see that the respiration only passively is compressed by the compression of the abdominal wall. The thoracal movements are going down and again released when the abdominal pressure is relieved. What was found? This phenomenon, probably the only reference that we found was toward the so-called abdominal compression reaction, which was found in animals and which occur always when the central pressure, blood pressure, is decreased or central hypoxia is threatened. In this case, this spontaneous movement in cats and in dogs occurs, and probably they help to return the blood toward the heart and to increase the blood pressure, the arterial blood pressure. So probably this reflects what released in this exercise, in these very long apneic periods, when certainly when there is no breathing, there is no stimulation of the venous return, probably this as a supplementary help to the circulatory system. So I would now close this very strange phenomenon. We don't know so far, we don't have any nice explanation of what really occurred. We are also registering the brain imaging. We are using the brain imaging technique. The EEG was quite normal, but very profound changes in autonomic activity was observed. This shows us that a very silent state, like this meditation, is based on a very profound mechanisms which are hidden, which are latent or dreaming inside the body. So thank you. So may I have the next slide? Yes, on this slide it's upside down, but don't mind. It's okay. It's okay. Fine. This slide comes from a workshop of Dr. Novak, who is to come on 1st of September. So by this I would like to conclude this my presentation and to invite him and to introduce his work. It's a snap of the monitor of the brain imager that we have here. It's exactly the same, which show us the power within delta, theta, alpha, beta 1 and beta 2 bands in various regions of the head. It is like we would look on the head from the top. This is from the resting state in a one very experienced yogi. Please, the next slide. And now this is during Kapalabhati. We see there is a nice increase of the slow theta activity. This is only the figure or picture of the theta activity. We see a nice location centrally between frontal and central leads. So this is just to illustrate how nice can by this machine certain changes in electrical activity can be shown or how to show to detect it. Next slide. And another example is from a subject who performs mantra meditation. It is again resting state, as I see. I cannot see it. Okay, maybe it's resting state. May I have another one, because I don't want to mislead you. So this is from the resting state. Look please on the alpha activity. Yeah, so this is the cool colors, green colors. Only here a little bit of yellow. And the next, the fourth slide, the previous one. No, the previous one, please.
Back.
Yes, and this was during rest. During meditation, it was large increase again of alpha activity, which was spread probably over the whole scalp. Again, it was pushed a little bit centrally and frontally. This was also found by Swamiji Vishnu-devananda in this lab, the certain phenomenon that the alpha change is normal occurrence, which is here and pushed centrally and forward. So, but this just to show the possibilities of the brain imager and to introduce our colleague. Thank you for your attention.
Any questions, anybody? Yes, here's a question. Dr. Andre.
When you were showing slow eye movements, did that have the period between each had a period of about 3 or 4 seconds?
About 1.2
Use the mic, please. Use the mic, please. Andre, use the mic, please.
120 hertz period is the result of the 0.9. Synchronized with the cardiac. This was possible.
Once more, please repeat it from here.
So we are telling now about the period of the eye movements, or the distances between the peaks, which was approximately 0.9 seconds to 1 second.
There's the same rhythm of the cardiac.
Yes, and therefore there was a possibility maybe to synchronize.
It says it would not be the type 5, it's called slow rolling eye.
No, it's a pendular-like movement.
Generally, when it happens, pendular-like movement, then it happens.
Oh, these are very rare. Very rare. These people.
Mostly the rolling motion you have it, not.
These people told us that in some certain neurological diseases, etc. But this subject was quite normal. He had no other problems. Afterwards, after the session was quite normal. He was just a little bit shivering because the metabolic output was certainly very high during the high frequency part of this exercise. So
you now check this type of phenomena during Kapalabhati.
no.
You didn't check it, or you never care to check it, or you didn't investigate, or what? You
Yes.
didn't investigate. Pardon?
Yes, thank you, Swamiji.
What? You investigate and get answers.
We did not make
That's okay.
Kapalabhati exercise with him.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I don't know if I was reading the slide, but it seemed like that there was more theta activity on the right side of the brain.
During Kapalabhati, this was the one of the. Yes. Well, I don't know. I don't have references by hand. I hadn't time to look at this. We should check why it is. It is known that alpha activity has a different distributions of which hemisphere. I don't know how it is why it happens. Beg your pardon?
Theta is between alpha and delta. That theta is
I don't know how it is with consciousness, but there are a number of studies showing the relation to behavior. So, for example, in animals, this rhythm is very much associated with exploratory, olfactory, exploratory behavior. This was shown by Commissars and many other authors. Sniffing movements are synchronized on 4 Hz, but there are also another paper showing synchronizing on 7 Hz. So, and this olfactory, this is a kind of activity which certainly should have some subcortical patterns involved. So, this is one example.
When subcortical means, what do you mean by that? Can you explain?
It means that they are coming or saved or hidden in the archicortex, in the old brain, where the phylogenetical history is stored.
Not on the surface of the cortex.
Yes.
Tom, anything else? Repeat the question, please, with your mic.
My friends asked whether how is yoga trained in Czechoslovakia, Hatha yoga. So there are centers from east, Košice, Bratislava, Brno, Prague. These are the names. But there are numbers of small cities when you find yoga clubs.
Generally, who teaches these classes?
The yoga is maintained under cultural education, which is under the physical culture society.
Is it by government sponsored?
Yes, sponsored by government. And this is like, for example, yoga is one of the sports of such a competition which is weekly done. So the Rotary.
How do they compete with yoga? I don't know.
So there is 49 sports, and yoga is one of the things supported by government.
But how do they compete?
Beg your pardon?
How do they compete? Like in running and
just that you give some 5 crowns and you make such a ticket, and then you wait until Sunday, and they will announce that you rightly mark, for example, 34, which is yoga. I just want to say this is for support of all sports, such a lottery.
Money to for it.
I just wanted to say about this, that this is.
But how do they find out a person as the head or behind? How do they find?
There is some.
The lottery is to make money for the sports.
Yes, and this is for all sports which are supported by government. So yoga is one of them, which could also be supported by government. The other support is from medical society. The medical society, the rehabilitation society of medical society, exhibits a lot of activities for education, for application of yoga into medical therapy, a number of diseases, cardiovascular, prevention of cardiovascular diseases, treating of asthma. There are yoga camps and maintained through summertime in the mountains where yoga comes with asthma, when people come with asthma and they are helped by means of kriyas and a certain pranayamas.
Where did these teachers learn? Where did they go? To go India to learn, or where did they?
Some are getting to, some happy people are getting to India, but there is some training also in the first that I mentioned, the physical culture, or yes, governmental physical cultural support, or how to say it, and they have the internal scripta and materials for this, but at the end, in the reality, they are split, a little bit split.
Have you taken this course from these people? Just for my question.
I'm just how to say it, I'm a pupil, I'm not a teacher.
I know, but at least you have taken the course from these people?
Yes, I was learned by two of these people, which were trained by the official program, or how to say it.
By the government official.
Yes.
Okay. And the next question is, what did you see the difference between that training and that training we are giving here?
Oh, that's a lot of differences.
In what way?
First, that here yoga is involved in a life pattern, which is not so common in Czechoslovakia. So one person comes to a weekend or evening course of yoga, but then he maintains the normal life. So not
and
the
eating pattern was the same.
Sometimes are keeping the eating pattern, but most of them not. So this is one principle. The other is the intensity. Here the classes are much more intensive than as I experienced in Prague, for example. Third, that unification, which is most important. One teacher learns, for example, spinal exercises only. So it's a little bit boring when you are attending in 1 year and not doing Savangasana. And the other starts with, for example, I don't know, with a little bit of asanas and pranayama, and the other mix all. Yes. So there is at the end, in the reality, there is much of unification of the training for all people. I think this is much more better here.
Do they have any textbook on the subject?
There are several books which are appearing through the state also, and internal materials. The internal materials are rather fragmentary, but you can find there very interesting things. The governmental give you such a comprehensive information, but it does not help you in details.
And when I came last time, they sponsored by some group of people. I don't understand.
Probably in Brno, which is so Prague is a center where many people are training yoga, are interested in yoga. And it is because of our institute and certain people who are medicals is more scientifically oriented. But Brno is a center which is mostly organizing teaching courses and education, meeting. It is, and there we have the only one professional which is in Czechoslovakia for yoga is there. So he exhibits a lot of activity for support of yoga. Brno is more important for such a spread of practical yoga for people, and but Prague is very important for the scientific background. So they call us every time and they need us to be there and to communicate with them, etc.
But one of the my meeting in Czechoslovakia, I think, Prague, I think, they were using the yoga for Olympics, to train the Olympic athletes. To get stamina or whatever it is. I was there on that, there was another meeting, there was used the yoga. Can you just give me how are they using the yoga to make athletes very, to perform their athletic performance in the Olympic and other sports?
Yes, there are some circles which are doing this, but we don't have contact with them. We are not for this performance yoga, or how to say it, for too much increasing performance. We don't keep contact too much. There are people who are making photographs or almost competitions of in asanas, etc. But this is such a neighboring line and we don't follow it.
And the last question. I just today, she came out and said that you are inviting me again for 3 months, that's all right. And also you want some Shanmuanji and Durga Devi to come also for some time. I can Mr. Swami, Srinivas Swami coming up because he may be able to understand and help in other investigations because he's also technically minded. But what's the purpose of inviting from humanity and Buddha-devi? This is more for my future reference.
So I think there are very good representatives of Sivananda Yoga organization, which we would like to enhance the contact and to keep contact because we hope that in certain years we would like to have courses exactly or similar to PTCs, to have a more unified education of yoga teachers on the system that the people know. In Brno know the system that is maintained here, and they very much appreciate it and consider it as suitable for our conditions. Therefore, I don't think that it is realistic to expect that in the next year, but I think it is important at least for us to start, and maybe in the next time we will have courses like this.
When I went, I realized when I got there, there was two groups that were sponsoring the trip. It had to be, one was the scientific group and at the institute, but also it had to be, to get the approval of the government, also was with the yoga clubs. And so they...
So the private yoga club is the private or government?
Government sponsored, but the government approves of the people who
is going to teach.
And the people that are running the yoga clubs would like very much for our organization to be a strong influence there.
And that's, it in Takasura I had a retreat, yoga retreat when I went there. It's in Takasura, you know?
I taught for a yoga retreat for yoga teachers.
But when I went there, I had a yoga retreat. It is somewhere in the mountain, just like this yoga camp area. Is it government sponsored or the yoga retreat?
This is the activity which is developed in Olomouc. There is one small physical culture society in Olomouc, and they are able to organize such meetings in mountains. This is not supported by government, it is their own activity. They by themselves find some money for this and organize
the
it.
people who came must have about 60 or 70 people. They all have private cars, like a private cars, like that. I mean, the rich people are especially special VIPs must be there to come to that place because come to mountain, they have private cars and stay in that student accommodations given, like that, all good accommodations. So who paid for all this? That's what I mean.
The attenders pay some.
Yeah?
The attenders of these courses are paying for this. Not so much, but they are paying.
That's what I made ask that.
15,000 people in the yoga clubs in Czechoslovakia. And also, there were about 250 people at the yoga therapy conference. All people were therapists.
I'm curious, since Czechoslovakia is a communist country, and this is yoga supported by the government there, is it recognized that the asanas and pranayama are just one or two aspects of the whole spiritual discipline, or is it just considered to be only a physical?
Yes, in this period we emphasize the physical and therapeutical or health aspect of yoga, because we think it's the best way how to support it. But I think that privately, that anybody who starts with yoga comes sooner or later, and it is in the West and in the East the same, comes to treasures which are hidden in the yoga by himself. It does not help that it is an Eastern country or Western or Southern or this. All yogis did not know anything about how stable some 4,000 years later will be, whether it will be this or this. So, yes, we are, but if you want my answer, it is like this, that we stress more on the physical aspect and therapeutical aspect of yoga.
But I think throughout the English Europe that is important, such as Bulgaria, Russia, they all have, when you come to spiritual side, they don't say that spiritual side. They try to put a kind of veil over that with the words. Just words, you know, instead of words. Meditation they call parapsychology or the various words they use. They concoct various words. Like stress release, something like that. So they concoct words just the same meditation we are doing, but they concoct words so that it won't be the government will not be offended. This one thing I noticed, that kind of veiled type of words they use it, like parapsychology or psychotronic and various words they use. Just words. That's so that it will fit into the government pattern. That's all it is, I think.
The retreat that I gave was exactly the same.
And how was the reaction of the government?
Well, there was no government reaction.
I think they would admit you very next time. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Randa. I'm very happy. I did 4 times morning, midday, evening, midnight, all types of pranayama. I developed this system in India, everywhere. I trained all the people, so I know the problem. No one ever investigated. The first time we are doing it, so now I'll be able to somehow understand what is happening, even when my own training, my own body. Now, from the Samadhi, your slides gave me some information what happened to me. Sometimes during Bhastiga, my body will jump like a frog without my consciousness, and I'll be lying from 10 feet away from the place I started my pranayama, and many other things are there. So anyhow, now I had some glimpse of what happened in those days. Thank you very much. I learned. You are also my Ajahn, my guru. Thank you.